So like a lot of you watching this, the idea of a tool watch is something that really appeals to me. I'm talking about a watch that can go wherever you do, that you're not afraid to bash about or submerge in water because you know that at the end of the day, it'll still be telling the correct time. It's one of the reasons I like both my Black Bay 58 and my Seiko SPB143. But the other day, I came to a realisation that if I want a good tool watch, I've kind of just wasted my money with those. And the reason for that is simple. The Casio G-Shock exists. Because despite all the marketing hype and what we tell ourselves about our favourite watches, be it a Seiko, a Tudor or something else, at the end of the day, the G-Shock does everything I could really need from one of those watches, but it only costs me 135 quid. So today I thought it would be a good idea to talk about why, if you want a proper tool watch, you really should just buy the Casio. The specific model I'm looking at today is the GW-M5610-1BER. The resin case is that iconic G-Shock shape that's instantly recognisable. And even though it's 43mm, it still wears pretty well on my skinny 6¼ inch wrist. And of course, as it's a G-Shock, the case is very resistant to shocks and impacts. If anyone watching wants proof of just how tough they are, there are plenty of videos on here demonstrating just how much one of these can stand up to. So that's one of the features you want in a tool watch covered, and if we go through the other specs, you'll see that this watch ticks all the boxes despite its insanely affordable price. It's got a solid 200 meters water resistance, so it can go as deep as either my Seiko or my Tudor. And as for lume, well, it's got a backlight, so legibility is never going to be an issue. Because unlike lume, it's not going to fade over time. The backlight will also illuminate automatically when you tilt your wrist towards you, which I think is a pretty neat trick. But where this really starts to pull ahead in practical terms is that Casio module. The watch uses a Casio 3159 module, which is absolutely chock full of features that I'm just going to list off for you. First off, it's solar powered, so you never need to change the battery. It's also got a day, date and week display, a stopwatch, countdown timer, world time, 5 alarms, a battery change indicator, and it's radio controlled, so it's always going to be telling the exact time. So when there's a watch that can do all that for that little money, why the hell do I have mechanical watches? Well, of course the answer is because they look so much better than this G-Shock. Because for all its features and value for money, I think the G-Shock is a bit of an ugly duckling. It simply isn't as good looking as my Black Bay. Every time I look at that watch, I just think, damn, that's beautiful. And I just don't get that with the G-Shock. The emotional connection just isn't there. Which is why, like a lot of you guys watching this, at the end of the day, I'm going to be reaching for my Tudor 9 times out of 10. Also, despite all the great positives about this watch, there are just a couple of negatives that I will quickly mention. First off, the legibility of the display will be an issue for some people. This model has a negative display, so it's a little harder to read than the positive one from certain angles, and it can be harder to read than an analog watch when you view it indirectly. But to be honest, I chose this one because I think the blacked out look is cooler than the standard 5610. And secondly, this watch has just a mineral crystal, which is going to be far less scratch resistant than sapphire. But that is to be expected on a watch this cheap, and as the crystal is so recessed into that case, it's unlikely to get scratched anyway. However, for me these are really small complaints with what is otherwise a fantastic tool watch. And whilst I don't think I'll ever have the same connection with it that I do with my mechanical watches, there are going to be times when I just don't want to risk scratching up a watch that cost me several thousands of pounds. So whilst the Tudor is always going to be my favourite watch, there's definitely still a place for the G-Shock in the collection, because if by some miracle I do kill it, I won't be too fussed. Anyway, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please let me know, what are your thoughts? Do you wear a G-Shock every day, or is it just for when you don't want to damage your other watches? Let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers!